Sigmund Freud had the idea that hidden inside every human being's mind was dangerous instinctual drives. His method of psychological dreams was the form of psychoanalysis. These were remnants of our animal past. He founded the unconscious. There exists a barrier that prevents these hidden impulses from emerging. Psychoanalysis led to war, and Freud believed the government led these ideas out to the public. Bernays was employed by Woodrow Wilson to help bring democracy to Europe both at home and abroad. He was asked to occupy the president to Paris for the peace conference. He was 26 years old. They helped work to make the world safe from democracy. Bernays believed if you could use propaganda for war, you could use propaganda for peace as well. He formed the term Council of Public Relations and the term public relations to beat the term propaganda. He formed an office in New York City to help manage the way the new industrial age had thought, and he worked with many companies. He wondered if he could make money from manipulating the unconscious. The idea was that information drives behavior. Bernays set out to experiment the masses. His most popular campaign was to find out a way to stop women from smoking or start smoking. Bernays staged an event at the Easter Day parade involving debutante women, cigarettes, and the media. His campaign efforts made cigarette society acceptable for women. If a woman smoked, it made her more powerful and independent. His efforts made global news by linking this product and others to their emotional desires and appeals. He originated the idea that if you will buy something to feel better, not necessarily that you need a product or service. This fascinated American corporations. They were scared of overproduction because they were promoted as necessities. The corporations realized they had to transform the way people bought products and shift over from a need society to a wanting mentality society. Prior to this time, there was no American consumer, only owner and worker Americans. Most people did not buy what they wanted. The man in the center of changing this mentality was Edward Bernays. In 1920, Bernays was hired to promote the mass purchasing efforts from the newly formed department store industry. He started product placement in movies and dressed clothes. He was the first to lead car companies to imply that car ownership represented male dominance. He recruited celebrities as models for department stores. Bernays became rich and powerful in America. Politicians and members of the government were convinced that Freud's idea had the human mind was correct. Anna Freud also had ideas used by big businesses and the government. She was Simon Freud's youngest daughter. As mental breakdowns rose in many armies during the wars, they began to research why psychoanalysis had led to homesickness and other disorders that affected their performance. It was the first time that someone had paid attention to the feelings and emotions of everyday normal people. They used techniques developed by Freud to go back into their past. They found that there were feelings that were from the childhood past, not from the war. This was proof that Freud's findings that people were influenced by their primitive actions. Victory in the Second World War led many leaders to become worried about the analysis of soldiers. They believed they could become irrational. Freud is Sigmund Freud's youngest daughter. Her job was to fulfill her dad's dream to have her father's ideas acceptable in the common world. She worked on ideas her whole life rotated around psychoanalysis. She believed by analyzing children thoroughly that she could bring a change in people's feelings, especially young children, by changing the world around them. From the Birmingham children, she concluded that if children followed the rules of acceptable social conduct, their ego would be strengthened to control the unconscious mind. The analysis was a great success by the 1930s. In 1946, this led to Congress making the National Mental Health Act to increase the scientific knowledge of mental health. There were few mental health workers at this time. Anna Freud believed that sexual forces in humans were dangerous if not controlled. She was opposed to sexuality. In 1934, she became the leader of the movement. Those in power would self-control not by representing but by feeding its infinite desires. If a person is really angry, they are going to let it out. In the 1950s, a new form of therapy developed by allowing patients to let their feelings out. Sigmund Freud used his ideas and inner beliefs and turned products into sales. Finally, the person we are going to review today is going to be a very positive person in the mental health movement and digital media. This person is going to be Chomsky, Noam Chomsky. Chomsky believed that the government led to many ideas and theories and was manipulating the public. He believed that only a small group of people with money and power control the general population.